Alright, here is an unboxing of some Savage Worlds gear, some Savage Pathfinder, a nice amalgam of systems and settings. Let's see, first off, we have the Pathfinder Companion. Yes, it's pretty. It's got some classic Pathfinder art. I suppose it's really saves on the budget when you can just reuse old assets. Yes. So this is the companion. It, I believe, yes, it has a bunch of extra crunch for the game. Alright, so that is over there. And we have the Rise of the Rune Lords box set. This just really includes the Rise of the Rune Lords adventure path and a few accoutrements. Yes. Also very prettiful. Now, I am covering things up because I don't want you to see my messy apartment. Or at least all of it. Right here, you can see that I have the original Rise of the Rune Lords. I subscribed with Pathfinder day one. Didn't go through to the last days of the first edition, but I did go through until, yeah, there's a bunch of crap here. It's all very messy. I did go through until Hell's Rebels over here, and I do hope to pick up some of the later APs to add to my collection, though I have no intention of completing the collection. I've since decided that there are some APs I can live without. Alright, blind again. Okay, and then here we have, oh wow, okay, the Ultimate Core Box, which is big. My less than big hands are having, sorry about the mess, are having trouble with it. Alright. So, Ultimate Core Box it is. Let's go ahead and take a look inside of this one first. I am going to... there's my cats getting all excited and not very happy with each other. Cleo loves boxes. Nala's indifferent. And Nala just got in the way of Cleo going after a box. Alright, I'm gonna take a moment to open this. One moment. Just toss that there and add to the mess. Come on. Alright, so here we are. We have a map of the inner sea. It's very thin. Probably not terribly big. Okay. We have punch-out templates. Tokens. Wonderful, wonderful. And wow. There is... Wait. Was I doing this way, or was I doing this... No, I was doing this way. I do apologize for the orientation change. So, punch-out tokens and a map. But look at all of this. Normally, you don't get all of this in a Savage Worlds box set. So let's take a look. We have counters. Excellent. They've got the, was it Krieg? I think that was the name of the family. We've got some of the Krieg ogres on them. We have, of course, the bennies. Featuring... Oh, that art is hard to tell. Someone fending off a jumping ghoul, I think. I imagine there's other art on here. Yes, there's also the classic dragon. This was on the core book of Pathfinder First Edition. But there's the bennies. Then, of course, we have status cards. Excellent, excellent. Power cards for all those spells. The obligatory action deck, which will basically be a large set of playing cards. So they went with oversized playing cards instead of 2 smaller decks of playing cards. Sometimes they'll this would end up being 2 decks of cards in one, but it looks like these are just giant playing cards. And then a quick chase deck, which is interesting. They haven't done that yet, I think, in Pathfinder, in Savage Worlds products. Though apparently it was done in the Fantasy Compendium, or they added something to the Fantasy Compendium. Ooh, this has something in it. Let's see what it is. Archetype Cards Set 1. So these will have probably the core characters. Oh, and of course, we have a set of dice. Simple gold to represent, I guess, the gold theme of the packaging, and then the extra die, the wild die, in green. Alright. Nothing in there. And then here we have the GM screen, which contains an adventure, Hollow's Last Hope. One of the very first adventures, I believe, Paizo published for the Pathfinder setting under the Game Mastery license. I probably have it somewhere up there, in fact, behind the record player and the skull and the speaker I need to get hooked up and the expansion to Gloomhaven. Alright, so we have our Bestiary. Now, I'm not going to open everything in here for this video because I'm trying to hold a phone in one hand, and yeah. But the Bestiary looks like a Bestiary. Normally, with Pinnacle Inc. products, the Bestiary is just in the back of a core book for the GM to peruse at their leisure, and by extension the PCs. But here we have it as a separate book with stats for various creatures in Golarion. Classic fantasy creatures too, so it'll probably be a very good Bestiary. For anyone using the fantasy setting, I mean, granted, there are apparently some new rules with Pathfinder Savage Worlds, but I imagine it wouldn't be too difficult to translate a lot of these creatures into whatever other Savage Worlds campaign you have. So, incredibly useful. I think that's been a weakness of Savage Worlds, is the lack of sufficient creatures. And then the core rules, which, from what I understand, is meant to be a sizable, hefty replacement, in a sense, of the core rules of Savage Worlds. If I recall correctly, you do not need the main Savage Worlds book for this. I could be wrong. It contains Savage Worlds rules. Yep. Yes, I believe it is indeed just the core rules revamped for this setting. And that appears to be it for this box. So, give me a moment. I have no idea how this is supposed to go. No. Something like that? No. More like... There we go. Alright, I figured it out. Okay. Now to undo all that I have done. And for once, I'm actually able to rebox something without trying to puzzle out where everything goes for hours on end. I'm looking at you, Gloomhaven. Alright. And now, the second and last part, which will probably be very short, given the simplicity of it. Well, relative simplicity of it. I'm sure it wasn't simple as far as the editors went. Alright, so here is the rise of the Rune Lords. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know, I don't do music. So we have what looks to be a very nice map of Sandpoint. Town, the players spend a good chunk of their time in during the first two modules, if I recall, not so much in the third. Then they come back, I believe they come back in the fourth or fifth. No, they come back in the fifth, after a long time away. So they spent a lot of time in this town, so it's good that there's a map. Ooh! Handouts. Oh dear. I have to actually cut these handouts. Well, good thing I do a lot of this stuff digitally. So, but yeah, there's some good handouts. I will dread cutting these apart, but I am glad they've included them rather than just saying, "Oh, you could print these out with this PDF file." No, instead, they've not only included them, but the backs have blank handouts. Like you can use them for templates and stuff. That's neat. That's very nice of them. Then here we have a deck of NPC cards. Tsuto Kaijitsu? I don't know. He's a bad guy. Anyway, and then of course... Oh, wait. You have a little Rise of the Rune Lord's Wild Die. So then, of course, we have Burnt Offerings, the first module. Skinsaw Murders, the second. Hook Mountain Massacre. I don't know why they flipped that one. Fortress of the Stone Giants, which, in my opinion, was one of the weakest entries. It wasn't even a fortress as much as it was a hole in the ground. Yeah, it had some strange choices for art, and I don't know. I do not think it was one of Wolfgang Bauer's best. I did not like running it. There were some very nonsensical NPCs, and it just seemed very out of touch with the almost dark fantasy that had been established with Skinsaw. Like, this was practically a horror adventure. This was practically a horror adventure. And then we have this ridiculous adventure. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but let's just say that fortress of the Stone Giants, it's not a fortress. And the monk in the tower. Alright, that's all I'm going to say. Sins of the Saviors. You see, now, our campaign died right around here. Drama happened, and it essentially killed the campaign. That's pretty much it. So I've never got into this one, and I'm hoping whenever I do run Rise of the Rune Lords Pathfinder Edition, I will get to complete the mission. And then as a little bit of a bonus, we have a bit of a campaign guide to Varisia. Now, this is, if I recall correctly, the largest of Pinnacle's projects ever. It's certainly the one I dumped the most money on. Money I probably should have kept. But now that I have it, I see. That's why they did that. The binding, it's unbalanced. Balanced like all things should be. Let's see here. I think this was, I think that. And then we'll do that. We'll toss you down there. Get into your hole! Alright. Yeah, the handouts are a bit cheap, but they're just paper. They didn't have to do it, but they did, and it's very nice that they did. Alright, so that is my unboxing of Pathfinder Savage Worlds Edition. I am eagerly awaiting giving this a run. Lots of rules to look into, of course. If I could just get this box on one-handed while staring at a phone screen. Alright, well, that's that. This was Unboxing with Mad Catter. I hope you enjoyed. I decided to try this with better lighting than my last one. And, yes, there we are. I'm eager to see what Pinnacle Inc. does with the rest, with the Pathfinder license after this. Lots of possibilities, especially now that they have the fantasy compendium out. Well, not out, but they completed the Kickstarter, or their crowdfunding thing. I still need to get that. I'm falling behind, but that is life. Alright, well, this is the Mad Catter. If you enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, all of that. And this is my gaming channel, Twisted Turns. Good evening, and of course, pleasant dreams.